Aloha and welcome to Java. Thank you for joining me as always. It is Thursday, April 25th, 2024. Got a lot to cover, so let's go right into it. Starting with the markets, they've been relatively stable since yesterday. MMRI is still in extreme risk territory, okay, but it's hovering around the same numbers as well as the greed fear index driving stocks. So they did do as probability said. They rallied a bit yesterday, had a green day. However, today, futures are a little bit disconnected, saying that there are some issues ahead. And as we said, towards the end of the week, there is increasing probability of correction. So we've got gold, silver, and oil are poised for gains right now. We are waiting to hear the GDP for the United States. NASA says they're expecting first quarter numbers to show strong US growth. I agree, but not for the same reason that they are saying. So, this kind of sums up the sentiment. Stock market pessimism is climbing, while it's still not bad enough to imply stocks hit a bottom. I agree with that because if you look at the inflationary mechanisms, that means everything is going higher in the long run, which would include stocks. Now, I say that for the long run, this is not financial advice. However, moving on, probabilities are increasing daily for that correction that we speak of. So, how much it is, we don't know. There is a saying, sell in May and go away, and that is historically how things go. So, with our calendar, we've got the GDP we're expecting prior to market open, along with jobless claims, retail inventories. Then at 10, we get pending home sales. So, I expect pending home sales down. However, the more important mover will be whether it's more than they expect or not. So, it's not about what's really going on in the economy, it's about what they expect. It's all emotional at this point in time. So, psychologically, the market is moving more than with real numbers. Friday, I put this up because the core inflation numbers, which will move markets, are prior to market open. So, set up your trades prior to the morning if you are a swing trader or hold anything overnight. In particular, we've also got ExxonMobil and Chevron reporting prior to market open in the morning, Friday. So, movers, we're watching a few things. First, I would like to address GDP. So, we're expecting this report very soon. Probably by the time I get this out, it will not be long. So, they are set to highlight immigration driven economic boom. This is a load of rubbish. I'll tell you why. First off, the immigration so called driven economic boom is on the back of debit cards they were given loaded with money backed by US taxpayer dollars. So the government handed them this money for them to spend within the economy. So that's not real GDP. It's not produced. Nothing was produced there. Second part of why I expect it to be higher is on the war economy. When we produce those bombs and send them overseas or other anything related to these wars, it drives the GDP. It's a giant money laundering scheme, goes back to the war machines of either Raytheon or any of the larger, basically defense contractors. This does, by the way, include Boeing, who had quite a drop yesterday. My target price was 165. They've hit that. We'll watch that from here. Keep in mind, again, only 40% is commercial airlines. The rest is other, which includes basically defense. So with this, we've got news from Square. So they are now enabling merchants to convert their earnings directly to Bitcoin. So I expect that to be positive for them. We'll see what happens. This is not financial advice, and we only deal in probabilities, not guarantees. So artificial intelligence spending worries basically put pressure on Alphabet, which is Google, and Microsoft yesterday. So those both had a very difficult time in the markets. With that, we've got the current administration announcing a preliminary deal with Micron. This is with their chip sectors. And so I would like to go into a little bit about this. Whenever the United States politicians spend, it steals from everyone holding US dollars. So this includes Americans, but this is also how the United States exports inflation because other central banks are required to hold US dollars. So, with this, the US dollar must stay strong moving forward, and that's why we say it will remain the foreign exchange king until the economic exceptionalism cools. So, US must continue these wars. They're all bankers' wars, and that's a large part behind it. So, United States can purchase foreign goods cheap, but that sacrifices any exports or GDP. So, since the United States is not really producing a large amount significantly of any real production, they have to make up for this with all of the weapons and wars. So, the other part that we had brought up yesterday was this first tax in over 100 years on what we call 20% tax on paper, cryptocurrency, and stock gains. So likely to be a nothing burger. I agree with that because what they're doing, they can't prove the unrealized gains value. So unless they find a way to nail that down across the board, that's also going to hit a lot of highly wealthy people that will lobby against this. So I expect that not to go anywhere. So it just makes him look better, like he's trying to do something. So going back to the sanctions on Russia over their metals, we were talking about how that would drive their economy. Basically, it's begun. The largest nickel producer, which is Russian, they are going to transfer their production to China. So now instead of refining it, they're simply going to ship all of the raw materials to China, have it smelted and sold there. So again, this is going to be a big boom for Russia. So with this, we've got artificial intelligence and EVs boosting the demand for copper. So the markets call it Dr. Copper because it is an indicator of the economy. We had a spike in nickel not long ago. I'm kind of expecting something similar to copper can happen if a squeeze occurs. So copper price is rising at the moment. And we've also got now, this is another story. New car sales expected to tick higher as inventories and deals are on the rise. I think that's rubbish. New car sales are plummeting in the United States at least. So I think that's a load of garbage and not going to happen. If anything, they're in decline. The loans are spiking in basically delinquencies for the auto vehicles, so the industry's in trouble. With that, we've got oil steady says drop in US stockpiles, tighten the supply balance. Well, supply balance is tightened also because Ukraine basically hit Russian refineries, even though they were asked not to. So I've got this picture of Janet Yellen in here because that buy Bitcoin sign just sold for over $1 million. It's a notepad with a scribble on it. So that just tells me that there's still quite a bit of discretionary savings income or money out there. So I'd like to go over what's going on with the wars right now because it's a large sector right now. We have the Pentagon saying we need to move fast, sending Ukraine $1 billion in new aid. As I just explained, this is all money laundering, and this is so that it can get back into the United States system and bolster that GDP. So they sent a massive shipment of military supplies, including long range missiles. These were not supposed to be sent to Ukraine, so they kind of left them off. Moscow knows about this. They are capable of hitting Russian soil. So apparently, the United States sent these long range missiles with the promise from Kiev that they would not use them on Russian soil, which is absolutely ridiculous. So, story that goes along with this, they were asked not to hit Russian oil facilities. So, what happens? We've got Ukraine struck Russian oil facilities. So, price of oil increasing. With this, we're going to move down a little bit to the Middle East on a couple of other stories. The first one is the weapon type, but secondly, what is going on there? We've got a top general in the Middle East calling for microwave weapons against drone storms. So the US Army has officially deployed a pair of high energy lasers overseas so that they can blast these incoming drones. So this has been confirmed, and it's part of the US military's ongoing development of futuristic directed energy weapons. I've still got people telling me that this is conspiracy theory and they don't exist. So US Army has officially deployed these laser weapons overseas. They're 20 kilowatt palletized high energy lasers. So the nickname for them, palletized high energy laser, PHEL, currently deployed to support the Army's mission. They are in an undisclosed location abroad because they're plenty expensive, and I'm sure they don't want them bombed or taken. And they are sent there. So we've got a whole division. It's called the Rapid Capabilities and Critical Technologies Office that manages this for what we've got an entire directed energy portfolio. So anybody that doesn't think these exist anymore, I urge you to look up for yourself. Don't listen to me. It's all out there. So with that, I wish you all a grain trading day if you're trading. If not, wonderful day in general. And until I see you again, my friends, stay free.